electronically. Additionally, and sadly, they beat up our staff and threatened them with death, and ultimately brought proceedings at the constituency collation centers to a halt. Citizens of Ghana, this is the reason why the collation in some constituencies could not be completed prior to the declaration of the presidential results. It is important to emphasize that the collation in all centers were proceeding in accordance to lay down guidelines as enshrined in CI 127 before the supporters entered into our constituency collation centers. There was therefore no reason or justification for the call to supporters to besiege the collation centers. That call, in the view of the Commission, was calculated to disrupt the processes and mar the seamless and effortless electoral processes that had commenced from the start of the polls at 7 a.m. that Saturday, the 7th of December 2024. We have been faced with resistance, threats, intimidation, and the destruction of our properties. Our staff have been threatened, and the established collation processes, as guided by law, have been disrupted, and winners have been declared without due processes governing collation being followed. In a number of instances, our staff have been threatened with death and forced to declare outcomes without adhering to the processes governing collation. It is instructive to note that the Electoral Commission has held discussions with the Ghana Police Service.
Well, let's try and do a breakdown of these 9 constituencies in question, because some of them are not part of the 5 recollated last week. Now, what are the unique cases? My colleague James Aveji has been at the ECN and joins me in the studio now. So, James, what do we know about these 9 constituencies?
Well, Brace, let me run you through this 9, and then we'll do the case-by-case breakdown of them. They consist in Sawame Dwejiri constituency, Ahafo Southwest constituency, Ahafo North, Obuasi East, Okaikwe Central, Ablekuma North, Tema Central, Techiman South, and Domkwabinya constituency. Now, we know that in some cases, some of the coalitions didn't end at the constituencies on the 8th of December due to some chaos. As far as some are concerned, the attempted re-coalition, the results have been declared, but the EC is involving them. For those that have ended at the constituency level, which there was no attempt for re-coalition, include Ahafo Southwest, Ahafo North, Obuasi East, as well as Techiman South. For those 4, there was no attempt for re-coalition. Now, you remember that here in Accra, there has been 2 attempts. One involves the re-coalition of Okaikwe Central and Ablekuma North at the EC's Greater Accra Regional Office, which were concluded some way, and then the result declared the NDC candidate for these 2 constituencies emerging winners of that. And then we had a situation where there was re-coalition of some other 4, including Akwetia Suhum and Fantiakwa, and in Sawam Idwejiri constituency at the police training school.
Here in Tassano.
Exactly. 3 have been concluded, and it went in favor of the NPP, and in Sawam Idwejiri was not completed. In the case of Tema Central and Domkwabinya, the coalition ended at the coalition centers on the 8th of December 2024. The results have been declared, the 2 have been declared in favor of the NDC. But the EC has been underlining, taking all of these 9 constituencies one after the other and explaining, amongst other reasons, the fact that all the polling stations have not been considered, and the fact that some of the results were declared with the returning officers being compelled to do so. They do a case-by-case analysis. We can listen to the EC chair give some of those reasons.
In Sawam Adwajiri, where parties, of course, on election day besieged the collation centers and brought the collation there to a halt. As I mentioned, the Commission tried to complete the collation process on Friday, the 13th of December. However, when it got to 143, the collation for 143 polling stations, there was an agreement that they should put it on hold until the following day. Sadly, that following day was not to be, and the collation was called off because we were informed by the police service that supporters of the parties were planning to besiege the police depot and to cause disruptions at the center, and we were advised to put it on hold. And so that collation is incomplete, and we cannot declare an outcome. I must note that in the Ahafua North Southwest and in the Ahafua North, as the collation on election day was also disrupted and no winners were declared. Those processes were incomplete, and until they are complete, the commission will not be in the position to declare a winner. In Obuasi East, the collation center was attacked by party supporters, and the returning officer was threatened with an axe. His hands were lifted up, and he was asked to declare a winner when that was not what was reflected on the results collation form. Again, that process was not lawful, and the commission would not uphold it. In the Okaikwe Central, I did mention that 110 polling stations results were used to declare a winner instead of 141. The commission would not uphold that process. In the Ablekuma North constituency, 219 polling station results were used to declare a winner instead of 281 polling station results. The commission would not uphold that declaration. In Tema Central, the DEO again was threatened, and he was forced to declare results using 146 polling stations instead of 148. The commission would not uphold that declaration. In Bono East, the officer was physically assaulted. In Bono East, in Techiman South, in the Bono East region, the returning officer and other staff were physically assaulted and forced to redeclare the results at gunpoint. The commission, it's important to note that the collation process had not been completed. There also, the commission would not uphold those processes. In Domi Kwadenya, there's some contention with 3 polling station results, and the commission is carrying out its own investigation with the 3 polling station results. I believe 367 of those results have been duly declared as legitimate. There are 3 results that are outstanding, and the commission is carrying out its own investigations to allow it, to enable it take a decision.
So that's the EC on these 9 constituencies in question. Now, we know that there are about 2 cases in court as we speak involving some of these constituencies that are part of these 9 that the EC cites. What was the position of the EC on this matter?
The EC has remained silent about the court cases. In fact, we wanted to put that to them when they addressed all of these issues, but they said they were not taking any questions. Our interest was to know whether they would have to wait until the cases in court are completed before they go ahead with the coalition, because as you know, what the NPP is seeking in court, which is to fast track the Re-Collation process, is what the EC themselves want to do. And so it will just be fair to know whether they will wait for that to happen or they will go ahead while the case in court is also being attended to. And so they've not been able to give us any clear-cut way as to what role the court cases will play in their Re-Collation.
Well, but the EC itself has some safety concerns ahead of this Re-Collation they want to do.
This is coming at the back of what we experienced at Greater Accra Re-Collation as well as the police depot. The EC chair is calling on the sitting president, the president-elect, as well as the National Election Security Task Force to provide some safe haven for them to do the Re-Collation.
We therefore use this occasion to humbly call on the President of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as well as our President-elect, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, to intervene in this matter so as to ensure that the Commission is provided with the necessary security and protection to carry out its functions. We also call on the National Election Security Task Force to come together to put in place arrangements to ensure that our staff and our processes are protected and secured in a way that will ensure that the true outcomes of our processes reflect the will of the people as expressed on the pink sheets.
So that is the EC chair on this particular matter. Let's bring in lawyer Edwidge Tamak, Director of Legal of the NDC. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Now, you served some notice some days back, staying off the EC's hands on these matters. The EC today says we are ready to start recollating of these of 9 constituencies, including the 5 that you took to court. What's your view on this?
Okay, so good evening to your cherished viewers online and your listeners. I must say that Madame Mensah and her other commissioners have turned themselves to the law or either above the law and have decided to do whatever pleases them. I strongly believe that in a democratic arrangement as we have it, it is the law that must have its way. 1st July 2020, Madame Mensah, under her hand, created what is now called the Public Elections Regulations 2020 CI 127. CI 127 is supposed to govern the conduct of both presidential and parliamentary elections. It's instructive to note that a reading of Regulation 2 and Regulation 3 is to the effect that for parliamentary elections, the person close with the authority and mandate to make a declaration and to collate results for parliamentary election determined within a constituency is the returning officer. What I have before me is the returning officers of the constituencies comprising Obuasi East, Ablekuma North, Okankwe Central, Tema Central, Domekwabenya. The person with lawful mandate to make a declaration of parliamentary elections are the people who made the declaration in respect of these 5 constituencies. Now that declaration having been so made, those officers stand frontus officio. Not even Jane Mensah, not even Bosman Asare or Samuel Tete have the legal capacity whatsoever to overturn decisions made by the lawful returning officers of this respective constituency. And that is why Madame Mensah would not want to take questions from you journalists. When you go to the Corporate Service Center of the Electoral Commission, it has its motto, transparency, integrity. It is shocking that a commission that has its motto, transparency, will be running away from questions. It is interesting to note. I listened to Madame Mensah make the point that she does not want to set a bad precedent. Madame, you are just not a principled woman. You lack integrity. You lack principle. In 2020, the then minority leader.
But the EC chairperson says the processes at some of these constituencies, the 9 constituencies that they are looking at, were not completed. Now, the same CI 127 enumerates the processes that these have to go through for the declaration to be valid. They say they weren't. Don't you agree with her that because the processes were not completed, then of course she has that room to say we want to complete the process, so let's recollate.
In 2020, Madam Jane Mensah supervised the presidential and parliamentary election. About 8 people were brutally military and police officers in Techiman South. The NDC, led by the minority leader there, the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, led a group of NDC MPs to the EC headquarters near the Rich Hospital. In fact, at the point, the police even said they never had or they never notified them pursuant to the Public Order Act. And for that matter, they were in breach of the law. What was their complaint? That whatever happened in Techiman South, that purported declaration by the officer in Techiman South was improper. It was done at the time when, persons associated with the NDC were brutally gunned down and murdered. Therefore, requested humbly that she recollate the results for Techiman South. Madam Jane Mensah responded to the Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and in paragraph 13 of the said response, indicated clearly that recollation can happen at any stage until declaration. And for that matter, after the results have been declared, there cannot be anything called recollation or recount.
Okay.
And that a person dissatisfied with that declaration, the course of action, and must go to court under pursuant to Article 99 of the Constitution. It does appear that time has exposed the duplicity of Madame Jane Mensah.
Okay, I'm grateful to you.
To allow her to do whatever pleases her. Now, judicial processes that have been served on her, she has the benefit of instructing her lawyers to put up whatever she has said at the press conference today as a defense in the various judicial processes that are pending in our court, but to rather resort to this grandstanding is regrettable and should not be encouraged.
Okay. Stay with me. Let me bring in Richard Ahiaba of the MPP. He is the Director of Communications of the MPP. Rich, I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, the law is clear on that if there is any issue with declaration, the only medium for one to seek clearance or clarification is the court. Why is the EC the one taking it on this? But you are also a party interested in this matter. You don't think the EC is treading on grounds that are not grounded in law?
Well, thank you very much, Kojo. I think the matter is clear. The excessive violence of the NDC operatives on a day of election is completely unacceptable and repugnant. We should say those in very plain and clear terms. Now, you are saying that we should defer to the law court, apparently because somebody decided to use violence to appropriate what is not duly declared as their won seats, because they use violence under duress to force people to make those declarations. Those declarations were not made clear-eyed. Okay? So the remedy is not necessarily the courts. Yes, you can use the court, but the EC is ready. The process is still underway. The way the whole thing happened lends itself to this recollation process because we are following the events. It wasn't after the fact that people identified that these things have been done. They were identified on the very day, and the efforts to correct them started in earnest before the NDC went to court. So the electoral process that created the problem can solve the problem. It's a question of counting and properly counting the numbers. Why would the NDC be opposed to the Re-Collation if they know that they have won? It is just where the accounts have a proverb that says,
okay.
So if this process has engendered this much disagreement, and the only way to resolve it is just count the numbers that are already there, then I don't think that there's any difficulty. There's no dispute that in the matter that the EC cannot resolve. The EC can count the numbers. So if counting the numbers is the problem, then let's go and count the numbers rather than go to court and deal with an abstract things using certain evidences that don't exist, and then it will be a case that will travel the length of 4 years. But right now, the EC can address it. And I think I agree with the EC totally.
Okay, all right.
If my brother Edwige, you allowed Edwige a bit more time, so please indulge me.
I mean, you've answered the question I was trying to ask you for. So let me bring in Edwige and ask him one question. Edwige, you have gone to court on this matter. Are you willing, or will you be citing the EC for contempt of court on this particular matter?
First of all, the courts have served us hearing notice to appear before the judge tomorrow for the purposes of moving our judicial review application. My last check, the Electoral Commission is yet to respond to the application. I was thinking that the details of this press conference will be put in the form of affidavit in opposition, detailing these matters before a court, instead of this grandstanding. As you are aware also, my learned friend, and that's the Director Legal for the NPP, Gary Nimakomafo, had filed various processes in our courts in respect of the same, election. And so one would expect that an Electoral Commission established pursuant to the 1992 Constitution will respect these judicial processes and unveil itself and put matters before the court, rather than, as it were, clothe itself with the power to sit in the comfort of their homes and offices and be declaring. And the danger, the danger is that
Edwige, I get you, but I wanted a specific answer to this. That will you cite the EC for contempt of court if they go ahead?
I mean, as we are saying, in some of the processes, the Inspector General of Police is a party. Is he, Mr. Dampare, or Dr. Dampare, going to allow, having been made a party to some of this, with pending injunction applications against him, proceed to allow his officers, assigns, and workmen to provide security for such obvious illegal conduct? I want to believe that Dampare has lawyers who advise him on the proper thing to do.
Okay. Grateful to you. Let me bring in Dr. Kwesi, and he's a security analyst, to look at the security aspect. Doc, where did we go wrong? Did something go amiss? And how can we remedy it going into the future?
I think it's most unfortunate that there seems to be a split in the front of the the Election Security Task Force and the Electoral Commission in terms of this Re-Collation. Look, every single constituency in Ghana deserves an MP elected based on the ballots cast, counted, signed off. But there are times when there are contestations about the processes leading to the declaration of a victor. And I think we are experiencing a few such cases. Probably out of the 9, I think 3 have been resolved, so remaining 6. I've heard criticisms and exchanges between the EC and the Election Security Task Force. That is most unfortunate and uncalled for. I think the partnership has resulted in a fairly satisfactory process and an outcome. But tensions are rising in those 6 remaining constituencies. And I think 5th columnists are being buzzed into those constituencies. That makes even the Re-Collation exercise much more difficult, although the boxes, from what I hear, are at the Tesano police station. And I think probably it's time for us to take a step back and to ensure that other institutions, Peace Council, the Christian Council of Churches, and the Islamic groups, to help douse the tensions so that the processes can go on.
Okay. Grateful to you, Professor Kwesi, and he is a security analyst. This has been Top Story. Coming up next is Newsnight.
Tonight, NDC minority in Parliament threatened Finance Minister with jail term if he fails to present the mini budget for the first quarter of 2025 after Dr. Min Adam failed to show up in Parliament once again, threatening workers' salaries.
There are severe penalties for not doing it, including a jail term. Severe penalties. So I just want to caution those in office to be aware of the constitutional provision and also to be aware of the PFM Act.
We have details as the majority assures the minister will appear before Parliament before the weekend.
And the finance minister will do that tomorrow.
You had a conversation with the president?
Yes, and that will be, the indication is that tomorrow.
I don't want us to come tomorrow and we are told that I don't have authority to do 1, 2, 3.
Also tonight, former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta confirmed as a target for John Mahama's Operation Recover All Loot for his role in the National Cathedral fiasco.
I really would want to see President Akufo-Addo and Ken Ofori-Atta, who engage in the illegal withdrawals in violation of our constitution. They have to be held accountable. I don't think they should be spared.
Also coming up, government defends decision to allow private entity charge $5 for e-gate use at Ghana's ports, despite opposition from the minority in Parliament who had described the move as a calculated plot to create, loot and share.
Immigration Service and Ministry of Finance are trying to sign an agreement. The warning is this: this is an illegality. Do not proceed. And every civil servant who is involved in a hasty decision to sign an agreement with this entity.
In business, Jubilee Partners deploy new technology to aid exploration and deal with declining production levels this year.
And in sports, Black Maidens advanced to the final of the ongoing WAFU B Under-17 tournament with an emphatic 5-0 win over Ivory Coast.
You want to join us with your views and comments all here on Newsnight 055-1111-997. My name is Evans Mensah.
I am Fostina Sarfo.
We have all the details for you right after this.
There's a business in every woman, from the young lady brimming with exciting and novel business ideas to the market queen managing her empire. There's the she architect, quantity surveyor, realtor, business consultant, crafting dreams into reality, and the multitasking mom seamlessly blending work at home. The entrepreneur, meticulously checking stock, to the corporate woman sealing deals on the move. Indeed, there's a business in every woman. Introducing Telecel Women in Business, our initiative to empower women-led and women-owned enterprises. Benefit from tailored activities, networking, business and technical support, free webinars, trainings, and more. To join this initiative, be a female-led business and a Telecel business customer. Visit telecel.com/business to register now.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining in my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When
mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Join us for the 4th live recording of Symphonic Gospel Meets Orchestra, a night of carols and worship with orchestra arrangements like never before. This year's experience will be unforgettable, featuring Once More Six, South Africa, Shante Esse, South Africa, Lordina the Soprano, Efe Grace, Kofi Osupepra, Luigi McLean, Prince Denzel, Grace Charles, Enyo Nyam, Shadrach, Kwesi Mensah, and many more. Date December 22nd, 2024, 5 p.m. at the Palms Convention Center, La Palm Beach Hotel. Tickets standard 150 CDs, VIP 300 CDs. Dial star 713 star 33 star 99 hash or visit ticketmiller.com or buy from Vida Cafe at Junction Mall, Accra Mall, Stanbic Heights, East Legon, Frankie's Hotel, Airport Shell, Nalem Clothing, and Community 11 Tema. Sponsors: Concepts Ghana, ISCC, Secure Sanitary Part, Furniture GH, Media Partners, Multimedia Group, Joy FM, Joy Prime, Hits FM, Sunny FM, Channel 1 TV, Sweet Melodies, CTFM, GTV, and TV3. Book your seats now. Doors open at 5 p.m. Don't miss Symphonic Music 2024, an experience to relish.
Christmas we highway no so be shit. That experience ne bogus be back room. Uni dollar menu ya be come hon here DSTV. If you say this Christmas DSTV is giving. It's giving live soccer or super sports made be analysis to prevent any biases. It's giving Ghanaian content to Aquaba Magic. A vibe. Now Korano so can dive into the Nickelodeon channels. A whole is safe with the parental control. And you fast ne do DSTV. This Christmas is giving the best in entertainment on DSTV. Grab a DSTV decoder or reconnect to your existing subscription and be entertained. DSTV, your home of entertainment.
It's a live your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM.
Tonight, we start from Parliament, Evans, because the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, has been warned he risks jail term if he fails to put the mini budget before Parliament before the MPs go on recess next week. The Finance Minister has been absent from Parliament for 4 days in a row, leaving the budget for the first quarter of the next year in limbo. Now, without the budget, salaries of workers will not be paid and government will shut down. Minority Leader Dr. Kaisalatu Forsin has been outlining the consequences for the Finance Minister with the NDC administration taking over on January 7th.
The expenditure in advance of appropriations for January to March 2025, Mr. Speaker, can be laid by any member on behalf of the Minister responsible for finance. Mr. Speaker, copies are before us. I have a copy. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you also have a copy. And I think this is not the presentation itself. It's laying of papers. Mr. Speaker, there are occasions, instances that papers have been laid on behalf of a Minister of State. In the same vein, we have a Minister for Tourism before us. Mr. Speaker, he is the available leader and he's a Minister for Tourism, a Cabinet Minister. Mr. Speaker, I urge him to lay it on behalf of the Minister responsible for finance. But if you don't want to do it, I can do it on your behalf. Mr. Speaker, I also want to convey to the Minister and His Excellency the President that the Constitution places an obligation on the President to present to this House before the year ends expenditure in advance of appropriation for the first 3 months of the year 2025. And this is Article 80. Mr. Speaker, aside that, the PFM Act, the Public Financial Management Act, places a responsibility on the Finance Minister to act on behalf of the President to present the estimate before us. And there are severe penalties for not doing it. There are severe penalties for not doing it, including a jail term. Severe penalties. So I just want to caution those in office to be aware of the constitutional provision and also to be aware of the PFM Act.
Let me bring in parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante, who was in the House for us today. And Kweku, do we have an explanation why the Finance Minister was absent today?
Well, Evans, as you said, the finance minister has not come to Parliament. The House is still sitting. Habib Idrisu, the first deputy majority whip, attempted some explanation that the finance minister was still in the process of finalizing stuff, and that the indication he gets is that the finance minister will be on the floor tomorrow to present this instrument.
Appropriation on account from January to March 2025 is an important document. The finance minister ought to do that on behalf of the president. The finance minister have given indication that he's ready to do that, but he's unavailable, absent at the moment. So tomorrow it can be laid and taken, but for us to say that a different minister should do that, this is very important document. Without authorization, neither does he have any indication to do so. Mr. Speaker, as a deputy majority whip, I can say that I have had that conversation, and the finance minister will do that tomorrow.
You had the conversation with the president?
Yes, and that will be, the indication is that tomorrow.
I don't want us to come tomorrow and we are told that I don't have authority to do 1, 2, 3. Then you are the same leaders who say you don't want us to sit on Saturday, and tomorrow is Friday. If we don't do that, it means that this item might not be taken by the House before we transit to the next government. And you know, it's very easy to do it. The next government can come on the next day if they come and present it, and the House will have to work on it, and it is done. And you will be setting a very bad precedent. You know, you'll be setting a very bad precedent, and it's not for your health.
And quickly, from what I'm just hearing from the Speaker, it appears that Parliament may be going on recess tomorrow or Saturday.
Yes, Evans. In fact, the indication that the Speaker of Parliament has been given is that tomorrow the House will go on break. Early on, there was a proposal that they could sit on Saturday and perhaps Monday or Tuesday as well to crush out some of these outstanding business. But some of the leadership have not been in agreement with regards to sitting on Saturday and early next week. And so there's still not agreement. The House hasn't decided as to what exactly they are going to do. But if what the Speaker of Parliament did tell the people on the floor today, the MP, is to hold, if tomorrow the Finance Minister does not bring this, this is leading us to a government shutdown, because when the House goes on the new year, they are only returning in the new year. And there's even concerns whether or not Parliament itself has the budget to be able to stick next year in the first place, although the President has approved sums of money for them, which will still have to feature in this 68.1 billion Ghana cedis that the mini budget will be presented. Early on also, the majority side have tried to push the blame on their side, their colleagues in the minority, by saying that they were fighting over seats when the Finance Minister was ready to do this business many months back. The Speaker of Parliament shut that down and said that that is not the case, and that it is the government side that has simply been unwilling to bring this business to the floor.
Today, we are talking and reminding each other about the law. We should do that. We had come, the majority had recalled Parliament purposely to do this. But we were rather busy fighting about who become minority and majority. So tomorrow it will be done, Mr. Speaker.
You are aware that the House had to be adjourned sine die because you boycotted sitting. Yesterday and 2 days ago, in my absence, you people made those statements as if either the Speaker or it's rather the minority that caused the delay in the presentation of this item. That is untrue. You know what happened. Because for good reason, we don't usually want to disclose so many things to the public. So please, don't push us to the corner. We'll be compelled to come in defense. And that will not be good for you. When I say you, I mean the New Patriotic Party and its future. I'm very clear in my mind about this. Don't push me to say things.
Fascinating stuff indeed. And Kweku Asante has been watching this unfold. And I want to bring in Ho Central MP Benjamin Kojo. He is with the Economic Committee in Parliament and joins us on the line right now. Mr. Kojo, just before I even get into whether or not you've had any confirmation that the Finance Minister will be coming tomorrow as assured by the majority side, we just had the Speaker say you shouldn't be pushed because there may be some disclosures. You are part of the leadership in the House, a senior member. Do you know what he's talking about there?
Seats every day. there is a meeting between the two leadership sides with the to the floor to agree on what business is that to come and do on the floor. So we are not normally privy to most of the things that we discuss. Sit on the floor and wait for is the business that has been approved, and we go into it.
On the subject of when the finance minister is coming, though, we heard today from the majority side that he is scheduled to coming tomorrow. You're a member of the economic committee. Do you have confirmation of that?
Well, we, as you have yourself said, if once the majority leader has said that, then we should be before the House tomorrow to make a presentation of the expenditure on account for the first 3 months of next year. We've been waiting for him since Monday when sitting resumed, when the meeting started. We wanted him to do that as a very important piece so that we can finish that with a few other things before we go on for the Christmas period.
And today, Kesla Toforsing has been painting
quite a number of days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and today Thursday. He has not showed up.
And today we got a sense from Kesla Toforsing painting an apocalyptic picture of what might happen next year if this is not addressed by this particular parliament. Is it that bad, considering that you take over on January 7 and your first order of business could be doing this particular business that the MPP, if they choose not to do it, will fail to do?
Well, it is the responsibility of the current presentation. According to our Public Financial Management Act, they are supposed to present the budget for the forthcoming year by November ending. But unfortunately, the call that happens in Parliament, we couldn't meet in November to get that presented. But our expectation was that after the election, we will get that as a major business today. So we adjourn Senate there. So if the finance minister fails to come, he cannot lay the blame on anybody else's court. It should be squarely in his own domain. Ensure that the budget is presented. If it doesn't, then if government business runs to a halt early next year, it will be his sole responsibility.
So, should the finance minister fail to present the budget tomorrow, what happens next?
Well, we are supposed to rise tomorrow. If it does, we will rise without working on the 3 months budget for next year. What can happen is that after, we still have a few days, we may be recalled to come and take it as one special business, maybe on 30th or 31st, before the year fully runs out.
Okay, thank you so much for your time here on Newsnight. Now, away from that, the former finance minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been confirmed as a target for John Mahama's Operation Recover All Loot agenda for his role in the National Cathedral fiasco. Mr. Mahama has already set up a preparatory committee chaired by Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa, MP for Norton, to gather and receive information from the public about suspected corruption involving members of the outgoing MPP administration.
Well, Mr. Ablakwa Fosi tells me on PM Express last night that Ken Ofori-Atta is a person of interest to the committee, although a Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice report, you remember that, had recommended the prosecution of high-profile members of the clergy. He says Mr. Ofori-Atta and not the members of the clergy must be the subject of any prosecution.
I have said, time without number, that the work I have done on the National Cathedral, and I've really done a lot of work, intercepted a lot of documents, I am convinced that a lot of these clergymen were misled. They were deceived by the president, to put it bluntly, because at their first board meeting, I have all the evidence, they were told by the president that public funds will not be used. Indeed, some of these reverend ministers then proceeded to even deliver sermons that assured their congregations that public funds will not be used. It was later that I intercepted documents from the finance ministry that apparently on the blind side of Parliament, in violation of the Constitution of Ghana, public funds had been withdrawn by Kanu Foyata without, the knowledge of the public. So there are some of us who take the view, regardless of what Shragi is saying, that this eminent clergy really were misled by the president. And if you read the resignation letters of Bishop Dakeward Mills, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, Reverend Isut Anaba, they state it clearly, that this is not what they were told. This is not what they expected to happen. So I have a lot of sympathy for this eminent clergy. I think that they were just misled. Probably when the likes of Otabil, Dakeward Mills, Isut Anaba, and Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams were resigning, they all should have followed them and resigned and block. So apart from Victor Kusi-Boateng, Kwabena Edu-Gyamfi, who has criminal issues to respond to, and I insist that I would not have been allowed to get away with that. You, Evans Mensah, would not be allowed to get away with a double identity scam. So apart from him and his double identity criminality, the rest of the eminent priests, I honestly think that we really have to look at the evidence again. From what I have seen, they were simply misled by President Akufo.
So you making an excuse for them that they were misled?
Well, I come to that because of all the documents I've intercepted, how they were told at their first board meeting that public funds will not be used. I remember that the president made some of these statements publicly, told the Ghanaian people that they were not going to use public funds. And then how the board really was not allowed to take control of the project. If you read Bishop Dakeward Mills' resignation letter, he said that they didn't have a hand in the selection of the architects. They didn't have a hand in the selection of the company, Ribade. They didn't have a hand in the selection of the location. It was not their decision that there should be all of these demolitions. So it's difficult to see all of this evidence, which some of them have written on paper when they were resigning, and to still say that they were in cahoots with President Akufo-Addo. That is why it's not really just because of their status as respected clergymen, even though you need to take that into consideration. But the overwhelming evidence really is that President Akufo-Addo was not candid, he was not sincere with the Ghanaian people and with the eminent clergy. And I really would want to see President Akufo-Addo and Ken Foyata, who engage in the illegal withdrawals in violation of our constitution, they have to be held accountable. I don't think that they should be spared.
Well, Evans, he added that they have gathered intelligence that some persons cited for suspected corrupt practices have already started fleeing the country.
Let me take advantage of this paradigm and have the oral team set up so that they can begin to gather evidence, particularly when there were increasing reports that people are trying to cover their tracks, people are trying to backdate, and they're trying to, ratify their wrongdoing. We already have a situation where some people have even fled the jurisdiction. If you followed my latest expose, those involved in the ambulance scandal.
Who specifically?
Stephen Okoro left on the 26th of November before the elections. And then you have Vivian Okonchecheku, another, chieftain in the whole $108 million ambulance heist. She also has left. And then you have a third person, Frank Ajekum, who has also left. And they all left a week to the elections. So you have all of these pressures. And the president-elect thought that it was really crucial for this team to be put together so that immediately the evidence gathering can commence, and then what can also be salvaged. Because remember that once people start giving you information, whistleblowers bring information to bear, then you are able to take the necessary steps urgently, remedial steps.
And foresee the committee window had some eminent men on it. Daniel Demelobo is on it. Kofi Boakye is on it as well. He tells me on PM Express that they have decided, they met for the first time yesterday at 2 p.m. They decided that they will not take salaries. They will not even bed in the state with remuneration whatsoever, not even fuel for their vehicle.
That even the sense with which we are coming to this work is not business as usual. When we met today at 2 p.m., we all resolved that nobody is receiving allowances, no per diems, nobody is going to take fuel coupons. We are doing this gratis. It's a sacrificial effort.
For how long? For how long are you going to do that?
Till the end of our mandate, because you are being called to help recover loot. Then you yourself become a problem. You are looting through.
But how is that looting? I mean, you're doing a legitimate job that you must be rewarded for and compensated.
No, but we have taken the view that look, this is service to country. It's for God and country. Let's bring our expertise to bear. Let us spend a little time to help our country. This is a cause of the president that we are all, excited about. We believe in it, and we think it's good for our country. It will help generations unborn. So let us, really remember that it is such an honor to be selected. This is a matter that is, look at since morning, the whole country, is looking forward to a good job. The whole country is excited about this. They are commending the president for starting work so early on this matter. So when you have such, great national support, you don't dissipate that with seeking personal gain.
Well, member of the oral team and former Auditor General Daniel Yaudumalovu explained his reason for joining the newly inaugurated Anti-Graft Committee.
I've been at the forefront of fighting against corruption and on a crusade requesting that looted monies should be returned and people be held accountable. So if the opportunity comes that we can do some preparatory work and I've been invited, I don't see why I should not be involved. So that is why I agreed to join the committee.
But if you look at the letter that was, the statement that was issued, it's in essence, all you need to do is to and receive information on corruption, potential corruption or alleged corruption, suspected corruption from the public. That's a job that the special prosecutor can do. All John Mahama needed to do was to sign a statement to say, if you have anything, go to special prosecutor. That's why it was set up.
Yes, that is correct. But as said by the chairman, we are talking about bleeding of the public purse, and we may have to take action quickly. And let me also correct one wrong notion. It is not true that all corruption or abuses of public funds reside with the special prosecutor. Some of the issues may be within the domain of the Auditor General. Some may go to OSP. Some may go to special prosecutor.
Well, it's a good time to bring in Edem Senanu. He's co-chair for Citizen Movement Against Corruption, an anti-corruption campaigner. Thank you for your time here on Newsnight. Now, we've heard from the chairperson of the oral team serving notice that he would be going after key individuals like Ken Ofori-Atta, the former finance minister. Doesn't this play the narrative that this constitutional body or this committee might just be embarking on a witch hunt?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's not a constitutional body, it's just a committee. And I think that saying that they will just be witch hunting would be stretching it if you understand the process along the value chain. The committee does not have a mandate to do investigation that is final, let alone do prosecution. Whatever information they gather as a fact-finding committee will eventually have to be aggregated and transferred to the relevant institutions of state set up with the mandate within that category of whichever kind of corrupt activities that they identify. And so to the extent that an independent agency with its own staff who are technical and who have an objective view of an assessment of the information and decide whether this is worth pursuing in terms of going to court. I don't think that talking about witch hunting is something that will transpire.
Now, we've also gathered information from Okujeto Ablakwa that individuals cited for suspected corruption practices, they have started fleeing the country. What then should be done to ensure that this team is effective in the evidence gathering agenda?
Well, I guess that is why the urgency to have this committee in place. And I have actually said on other platforms that rather than it look like a political initiative of one party, eventually we should institutionalize it. Perhaps have a part of the transition law that we have developed, which should say one of the committees to be set up immediately would be an anti-corruption committee to look at such issues. Because in the transition period, whether it's 2, 3, 4 weeks, there will be persons attempting to exit, others trying to change documents or shred them and what have you. So I think that setting it up at this point, the value is that persons who are aware of friends, family, or others who may be attempting to do something untoward now have an opportunity to talk to the committee. I think the committee needs to provide channels and platforms that citizens can comfortably provide such information with anonymity. Because if you look at the Afrobarometer report, the last 2, 3 reports have said that Ghanaians, over 30% say they will not report for fear of retribution. They are not sure that they will be kept, their identities kept secret. And they are also not sure how much change will happen even if they report. So this committee can work on that by providing secure channels and platforms for reporting and holding such information as confidentially as possible.
Before we let you go, many have criticized the committee even before they begin their work that what they are setting out to do is already a duplication of roles. The OSP is doing the same, Shiraj is doing the same, Yoko is doing the same. How do you respond to that then?
I absolutely disagree. Indeed, I mean, if you have a situation where somebody needs to then decide, am I writing a letter to OSP, am I writing to Traj, Swomoto by themselves, that might not get you the volume of information that is easily verifiable or, let's say, validate each other. This approach, which is based on a whistleblowers regime, I think is a very good initiative because they are encouraging Ghanaians, and it's part of our mandate or our obligations as responsible citizens under Article 41F of the Constitution to report any losses to the state, any damages to property and assets. I think that this encourages citizens to be more responsible and provide information in a timely manner that can prevent losses that will be more difficult to retrieve if the monies and the properties have already, been fleeted away.
Adam Senanu, he is an anti-corruption campaigner.
Today on the subject of the real purpose for Operation Recover All Loot, we'll be hearing from John Dramani Mahama himself. He's been talking about some misunderstanding around the initiative and addressing the subject of potential witch hunting.
I announced the preparatory committee, and I think people are misunderstanding it. We're receiving a lot of information on things that are going wrong or things, corruption scandals and all that. Some send me texts on my phone, some call me, others pass through other people. We want a focal point where all that evidence is directed, and so that they can assemble that evidence. And once we come into office, Oral is not going to be investigating people. It's going to gather the evidence and pass on that evidence to the government institutions that are geared, supposed to do that kind of work. And so we just want that if people have any information that they think is useful in the fight against corruption, pass it on to this team. That's what the team is about. And they are all doing that service pro bono. They are not expecting any payment. There's no expenditure or budget associated with the task that they are carrying out. And so that's the explanation for it. Yeah. And so I don't think that people should think that it's a witch hunting committee. They have no brooms to fly at night. So I can assure people that it's not meant to witch hunt, people.
So that's John Dramani Mahama, the incoming president, and currently the vice president. Since the elections and the results were declared, and he way before that had conceded defeat, we've rarely heard him speak publicly. Well, we've been hearing him now. He's been telling us a bit of why he lost.
Surprisingly, well, he says that their campaign faced a significant communication disadvantage during the December 7 presidential election. And he says this is largely due to the National Democratic Congress dominance of key traditional media outlets.
It was a big disappointment. There's no doubt about it when the results came. Why was it a disappointment? Because all the work we had done was pointing to the fact that we would win this election. There was clear evidence on the ground as we went to all the 276 constituencies. It was clear that we were going to do well, but on the day of the election, something was amiss. Turnout was so low, and everybody was wondering what was happening. Where are people? I must say, like I said, we worked very hard in the campaign. I must tell you that I'm very proud of the communication team. Very, 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 very proud. We did very well. You did an excellent job. I must congratulate you. We dominated the NDC in social media. By far, very, very clearly. And we were working against their ownership of or support from key media houses, isn't it? Yeah. So it put us at a disadvantage in many ways in terms of the communication field, because we had a lot of these key media houses who were not on our side, and so we had to. But you fought very hard at the time you had the opportunity. I've been following the communications very closely over the campaign because I wanted to know how things were going across the space.
And he was talking to the party's communicators at his residence, and he gave that diagnosis of why they lost. Part of what is that he says, as you just hear him articulate, that they lost control over the traditional media. The NDC seemed to have a more dominance there. What do you make of that? 05511119997. George Wiafe joins us right now with business. Hello, George.
Hi, Evans. And coming up, market leader Goil increases price of some petroleum product at the pumps, with petrol selling at 14 Ghana cedis, 75 pesos. And Jubilee partners deploy new technology to aid exploration as they move to deal with the decline in production levels from the country's oil fields. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Synthesis Tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
If home is where the heart is, then let's go home, shall we? Let's go where the entertainment is, where the passion is, where the laughter is, and sometimes even the tears too. Let's go where we feel safe enough to share our opinions
and send tweets,
where we do that embarrassing little dance to our favorite song. Let's go home where the love, the care, and the joy live.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Hooray! The Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited is organizing its end-of-year furniture promotional sales from the 15th of November to the 31st of December this year. Kingdom Books and Stationery is giving away a whopping 10 to 15% discount on all furniture at our furniture shops. Head office, Akweji, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema, Comte 4, Takrady, opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast, University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic, Centerpoint Mall, Winneba, University Campus, KNUSD, the University Bookshop, Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit and shop online at www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764101 or email us at info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Afi, dear Chatwo, a son say your bush young yes from Quintino. You can't say ye pepsodent, you didn't also a can your money home.
Hey, wohu, we could hear wo, no he wole, was shre, nana no ne, wakeba. Hey, Ampo, Odinda so, Imamenae, and Fanny, dear. One so bit to me to dinga to President Busia Park no so, but we busia who buy more who do, for we need to rest to a bear will not come to President Busia Park. FDA, check the incarto yet to move.
Get ready for another exciting and memorable time with the family as we bring you yet another fun-packed edition of the Joy FM Family Party in the Park.
Set in the Ebri Botanical Gardens, families will once again be treated to lots of bonding and fun activities such as cooking competitions, tag of peace, sack race, musical chairs, dancing competitions, and so much more.
Guess what? We're taking it a notch higher this year. There will be a whole food village where some of your favorite food brands will be present, so you don't need to bother about food at all.
And the new Games Village will be lit with assorted 3D games, FIFA, and many others. This Christmas, Santa will be there with his bag of goodies for the family.
That's not all. Kamido, Kwampa, Kwabena, and many other artists will mount the stage to light up the party.
The Joy FM Family Party in the Park is simply the place to be for families this Christmas.
Mark the date, 26th of December 2024.
Ebri Botanical Gardens, 10 a.m. sharp. Tickets are going for only 200 Ghana cedis for a family of 6.
To purchase your ticket, use the short code *714*003*3#. Select Party in the Park and follow the prompt.
The Joy FM Family Party in the Park is brought to you by Frito Cooking Oil. You deserve a life of goodness. Fortune Low Fat Spread for Bread. Always on point. DBS Roofing Industry, your roof experts. Velton's Beer, distributed by Kingdom Books and Stationery. Aquaba Bottled Mineral Water. Day by Day Men, distributed by Dream Cosmetics. Joy FM Family Party in the Park, creating memorable family moments.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, market leader Gold has finally increased the price of some petroleum products at the pumps. It is coming after the oil marketing firm kept prices of the various products unchanged for clear days as adjustments should have been done on Monday. The price of petrol has gone up by 40 pesos and is selling at 14 Ghana cedis, 75 pesos. However, that of diesel was kept unchanged at 15 Ghana cedis, 45 pesos. Meanwhile, Joy Business has learned that the local oil refinery firm, that is Centio, has been shut for